free audio post-production by alphonic.com.
Are you ready?
And it's lights out and away we go.
Hello, welcome back to Away We Go podcast. My name's Diane Bortoletto and I'm your host, and today I'm in Port Macquarie and we've got a really special episode for you today. I'm interviewing Ciara Gillan. So we met Ciara last year. She did a few episodes on the podcast after Monique decided to step away to concentrate on being a full-time first mum. Totally fair enough. So today I'm going to interview Ciara so you can get to know her. Welcome to the show, Ciara. So lovely to have you on.
Thank you so much for having me back.
The last episodes where you've been on the podcast, we've really talked about business. Like, it's all been about Formula One and not much about you. So I thought, since you're going to be a regular this season and doing the race recaps with me, I thought it would be great for everybody to get to know you a little bit better. First and foremost, how did you become a Formula One fan?
Yeah, it's a good question. To be honest, I was always aware of Formula One when I was younger, and I kind of, would keep an eye on it, but I didn't really have any ways to watch it, and there wasn't really anybody very sporty in my family. But then when I started dating Simone, and became friends first, and then started dating, I started watching it much more regularly with him. But I always kind of, knew about Formula One and kind of was keeping an eye and, in the era of like Rubens Barrichello and stuff like that. So it was like a long, long time ago. But yeah, more regularly recently in the last few years.
A post-Drive to Survive fan, would you say?
I'm always hesitant to say that because I feel like it means that I got on the bandwagon after a documentary, a flashy documentary series. And I always want to be like, no, I knew about Formula One. I was watching it, but I wasn't watching it in the sense that like I didn't have, access to sports channels growing up. So in the sense, post-Drive to Survive, but maybe post-Simone. And it's probably a better way to describe it. Because I started watching it with him.
Right. So speaking of Simone Scanu he's been on the podcast. You can listen to his episode, which was episode 39. And he came on because yourself and him co-founded the Formula Live Pulse app. And he said on the podcast when he was on that he built the app because, and I'm quoting him, because my girlfriend kept asking me questions all throughout the race. So I built her an app so she had all the information. Now, is that true?
It is true. It is true. Yeah. Oh, God, yeah. I was very annoying. I was very inquisitive. I'm a very curious person and I do ask a lot of questions. I do like to talk, hence why I'm a natural on this podcast. I was asking a lot of questions. And actually, it made him realize that there were a lot of things, that weren't talked about or there wasn't a space for. And then it also made him realize that there was actually, made us both realize there was a gap in the market for, certain areas of interest that we were like, obviously the tech stuff and data, and then obviously other stuff that was going on. So it was good. It was good that I was asking all these questions.
So he's Sardinian and you're Irish. How did you guys meet?
We met through work. Yeah, we met through work. We were working in a company together. And we were, like I said, we were friends first. We were friends for a few years first. And yeah, we met in Berlin. So we both live in Berlin and we were working in a company together. That's how we met.
Lovely. And since he is Italian, are you a Ferrari fan by association?
I am. I mean, what's the saying they say? Like, nobody doesn't love Ferrari. Like, how can you not? They're just such a special team. And even just, being a Ferrari fan is such a unique journey, I mean, at the moment, obviously, there's a lot of good talk about Ferrari, but in the back, I've already got that Ferrari anxiety, that we get too excited too soon, And I love a good underdog story, I'm Irish, so we're never at the top of the sports league. I mean, we can be and we have been with certain things, but even still, we always have that like underdog thing with us, going to worry that we're going to mess it up or that we can't be the favourites, because if we're the favourites, we're definitely going to mess it up. But yeah, I'm a Ferrari fan by association, and I've taken to it quite well, I think. I'm even wearing red today, eh?
I know, Ferrari anxiety, that is a real thing, given how well testing has gone in Bahrain, at the start of this season. I think most Ferrari fans are feeling a bit the same. They're feeling totally hopeful, but oh no, my hopes they could get crushed again. And, have I got enough in the reserve tank to be able to deal with more crushed hopes. Hopefully we don't have to experience that. But besides Ferrari, last season you were cheering really loudly for Oscar Piastri, which I just loved as an Australian. Like, why?
Do you know, I like Oscar. I just warmed to him and his personality and the way he presents himself, the way he races. It's funny, I do like certain drivers based on their way they talk in their interviews and then obviously the way they are on track. And Oscar he's got this kind of modest way about him. He seems really sweet, but then he's also really aggressive and really ambitious and he's not afraid to go for it. And, you kind of expected him as a rookie in his first year to sit back and let, Lando, who was like there for a long time and he's the golden child of McLaren. And you expected him to kind of sit back and go, okay, I'm going to learn from you. But he went in there and he was ambitious and he was, attacking from the start. But then he didn't reflect that in his interviews. There was no arrogance, you know what I mean? There's something just very kind of nice and kind about him. And I'm obviously talking from somebody from a screen, behind. I've never met the guy. But that's just the impression I get from him. And so, really endeared me to him.
He's got a very, very calm and even demeanour, which, has become almost a trademark of his now. And it's, at first people would say, oh, he doesn't show any emotion, but you're right. It does make him really likeable because he also doesn't show the negative emotion as well as the positive emotion. He's just, his spectrum is quite narrow. So, he's not one to shoot from the hip and say negative things about the team or other drivers or whatnot. He he's very restrained.
But I also think he's quite humble. I just think I have no problem with him being, negative or positive or whatever. I feel like he's just humble. I feel like certain drivers just give that kind of humble approach. Like Charles would be one of the other ones who I think is very humble and just kind of like, and Charles is actually probably a bit too critical of himself. But they kind of have this, they don't have a massive amount of arrogance. However, that said, I do think you need a bit of arrogance to be a champion. So in a way, Piastri, I think he does have it. He just doesn't show it. I think, as you're saying, he's so even keeled. He doesn't always show it. It's a hope anyway.
No, I tend to agree. A lot of it would come down to his family. They just keep him grounded. But okay, so we've talked about Oscar. We've talked about Ferrari. Who are your other teams and drivers that you like?
I think I mentioned this before. I do have a soft spot for Carlos Sainz. There's just something I really like about him. I mean, obviously he's quite a charming guy, or at least that's the way he comes across. And, he was at a good relationship with Charles when he was in Ferrari, and he seems quite close with Lando. So you can see he's got, good friendships there. But really what endears me to him is his racing brain, is his strategy brain of how smart a racer he is. And he isn't just a guy who gets in the car and then starts shouting and, giving out when things aren't going his way. He just seems to be clearly thinking about the bigger picture. And he's proven time and time again that he kind of knows more than, obviously the Ferrari guys at times. But I just find that really interesting. I find, and I suppose don't tell Simone, I suppose I'm attracted to the smarts that he's got going on there.
Oh, the smarts, yeah. I'm really attracted to his smarts as well, yeah.
No, but seriously, I am. He's a very good-looking guy as well. But I do find that quite interesting to watch. There's some drivers who are, obviously Max is a very intelligent driver. He's clearly had a massive influence on Red Bull and how Red Bull have done their cars over the last, couple of years. You can see that with him. And obviously Lewis is a very intelligent driver and has a lot of experience. But there's just something about Carlos that just, you can see that he has a racing brain, and I just think that's really interesting. So yeah, so him, I really like him. And then by association, I suppose I'm following again Williams and kind of seeing where they're coming from. Again, underdogs. See how their pluckiness might, help them this year.
Yeah, Australians are like the Irish in that we love an underdog story as well. So there's a lot of Australians that have a soft spot for Williams, but also for Valtteri Bottas, because we've adopted him as one of our own because he goes out with Tiffany Cromwell, who is an Olympian cyclist, and they bought a winery in South Australia. So that happened over the break, and you can actually go and stay there. There's some chalets on the property, which is something that's on my list of things to do.
That'd be so cool. Meet your hero, but yeah, he seems like a really genuine guy as well, right?
Yeah. and fun.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's the other thing, right? Some of these guys have just got such good personalities and just seem like fun. And then some of them just seem like they take themselves way too seriously. And I get it. Like, obviously, you're fighting for championships and you're fighting for your place in Formula One. So you do need to take it serious, of course. There is a kind of a fun edge to Valtteri, definitely. Yeah.
For sure. And when you were talking about like the racing brain, I kept thinking of Fernando Alonso. And I like him for a few reasons. He's Spanish, so Italians and Spanish are quite close. So I like him because of that. I like him because he's old. And and they call him the rookie because he's so old and the oldest driver. And he's had such a long career. Like, he already had won his first world championship before Ollie Behrman was born. It's just
It was
a crazy stat. And during races, like, he's quoting rules for his race engineer to go and check if something happens. It's like, oh, this is, against the regulations. I think they need to restart the race, or that needs to be a penalty. I think he's just incredible from that respect. And I just love that this sport, it's not necessarily just a young person's sport. And I love that. And people that defy the odds, like Fernando Alonso, same as Kelly Slater in surfing. He won a World Championship Tour event 2 days before his 50th birthday. 50! Like, competing against people who are like 21. It's just, it's incredible. So for that, yes, but I'm a little bit worried about Aston Martin this season. Their testing in Bahrain hasn't gone great. So we'll get into that a bit more next week.
Yeah. I mean, we'll hold that for next week. But I'd say Adrian Newey is sweating in his boots.
Yeah, I think everybody's sweating in their boots. But if you just had to pick one team and one driver, who would it be?
Oh, I think it's always going to be Ferrari. Like, the team is always going to be Ferrari. It's hard not to.
Yes.
Yeah, they're a complicated bunch. But
all Italians are.
Yeah, right. They're just complicated, and here's me giving out about the arrogance, but there is an arrogance there with them, and and maybe they're going to prove us wrong that they did know what they were doing, 20 years later. But Ferrari, it's always going to be a journey with them, and it's always going to be complicated, a real love-hate relationship. And then driver, I don't know. I mean, probably Carlos. So, I mean, Oscar is very close second. Yeah, probably Carlos.
Fair enough. And away from Formula Live Pulse, which is the app that everyone needs to download right now and get ready for the start of the season. So you've got all the data on your fingertips, on your phone, or on your second screen before qualifying starts in Australia. So you get all the live telemetry, all the team radio transcripts between each driver and their team engineer, as well as the live radio, the same that gets shown on the broadcast, so you can re-listen to that if you miss something. And all the tyre strategies and the pit stop strategies. Like, I can't rave about all that data at your fingertips enough. It's not even my app. It's your app. Have I missed any features of Formula Live Pulse that you want to?
Well, actually, we brought an update. So there's a new version of the app, and actually we have now, there's a chat room where you can join in and comment during the races and during the quali and everything like that. So chat with other fellow F1 fans. We've brought in F2, F3 and F1 Academy. So you can now start following the young stars that are coming up through the ranks.
Wow.
So that's great. I'm trying to think what else we have brought in. We brought in a fantasy league. So we've always had the Pulse pick who you thought was your favourite driver of the race. But now we've brought in a fantasy league where you can predict who you think is going to win the race, who you think is going to have the fastest lap, who you think is going to be on the podium. Yeah, so it's a lot of fun, and it's all like international with all our global users, and then there'll be prizes at the end of the year as well. So yeah, definitely download the latest version of the app. It's great. It looks really nice. All the news. The podcast is there as well, so you can access all the episodes. Yeah, so it's really, really good. I'm really, really proud of it.
Well, that's a massive update. You guys have been busy.
We have big plans for the future. Yeah, we want to bring in other racing categories as well. Motorsports is such a huge network and fan base, and so we want to bring in other sports as well, so that we have it all in the Formula Live Pulse, platform.
Wow, that's you've got to have a dream to make it come true. So why not go big? I say that's brilliant. And those updates, yes, I saw the icon on my app, but I need to updates. So, yeah, it's so exciting. But outside Formula Life Pulse, like, tell us a little bit about your life. Like, you're a filmmaker and producer. Like, how did you get to become a filmmaker and producer?
Yeah, so it's been a bit of a journey. I mean, I studied it in college, funnily enough, and then I actually went into animation. I've always been in production, but I was working in animation for a few years. And then I had my own company and I was making short films. I just kind of been, following the producing path for a long time. I was in visual effects as well. I was in audio. I was training in the States. And I've always loved filmmaking. I've always loved writing. I'm a writer at heart, though a little bit of a neglected writer at the moment. And then I moved to Berlin and I met my business partner here, Kevin, and we set up our company. And so we've been kind of making films with Ireland and with writers and directors based in Ireland. So we've a lot of stuff in development. Just finished a short film there recently and had another short film that's now on Disney Plus that you can see.
What's it called?
The Head on Him. Yeah, it's a very Irish expression. It means like the state of you. So it's about a young kid who comes to Ireland from Nigeria and he's trying to fit in. It's set in the late 90s and he's trying to fit in. So he has this big mop of hair. So he decides to shave it off. But actually the hair keeps magically growing back and eventually traps him in his bedroom and he has to figure a way out. So it's a very fun little short film. Yeah, The Head on Him.
Congratulations. Having a film on
Thank you.
Disney it's a big deal.
Yeah, no, it really is. No, we're very delighted now. That was very, very exciting and very exciting for the director as well, because just to get that recognition,
Yeah, definitely. And, you said you're a writer at heart. What sort of things do you love to write? Like if you had all the time in the world without pressures of real life, what would you sit down and write?
I mean, I love fiction. Fiction is really where my heart is at. I've been mulling over. I've always wanted to write a crime fiction. I mean, it's funny how women are so obsessed with crime. I've always wanted to write a crime fiction, and I'm mulling over a story at the moment that I just need to find the time to sit down and start writing.
There you go. Okay. Well, Ciara, we've changed the final 3 questions this season just slightly. Well, Ciara, let's dive into the final 3. These are the 3 questions that we ask all of our guests who come on the podcast. So if you could go to any Formula One race, whether it's on the calendar or on a past calendar, which race would you choose to go to and why?
I would like to go to Miami, I think. I mean, to be honest with you, I've actually been to a couple of the races, so I'd actually be open to going to all of them and I would love to go to all of them. But there's something about Miami, there's something about the vibe in Miami that attracts me and that I would love to go to. I can't speak to the track to say that it's one of the best tracks or anything like that. But I just feel like there's just something, and also kind of visiting Miami as well I would really love to do it.
I love the fake boat that they've got and the fake marina that they've got there. That's a corporate hospitality suite.
Oh my God. Yeah. Miami's probably the worst choice when it comes to the actual race. But I don't know. There's just something very kind of, I don't know, good energy or something.
If you could choose to go to any Formula One destination for a holiday in non-race week, so just to go there for a holiday without watching any Formula One, which Formula One race destination would you choose to holiday in and why?
That's an easy one, Japan. I would love to go to Japan and it's on my bucket list. It's been on my bucket list for a few years. I just think Japan is such an amazing country, amazing culture, amazing food, amazing people. I mean, the language is so fascinating. It's obviously so different to English. I would just love to go anytime to Japan. And it's funny, I think I probably had 10 different groups going to Japan over the last year and a half, like of people I know. I think it seems like an amazing country to visit. Yeah, definitely.
Japan's really high up on my list to go to as well, whether it's race week or not. Oh, I'm desperate to go to Japan. Yeah.
Is it far from Australia?
No, not at all. From where I am in Western Australia, it's like a 7-hour flight, which is still relatively far if you are European. But if you're Australian, a 7-hour flight is really close. And funny enough, I think Japan's at the same time zone as well as Perth. China's the same time zone as Perth. Singapore's the same time zone as Perth. It makes it for really easy travel. Like where I am now in Port Macquarie, it's about a 5-hour drive north of Sydney, and I am 3 hours ahead of Perth, Western Australia. Totally different time zone. Question number 3, the last question. Which Formula One driver, dead or alive, would you choose to go on a holiday with and why?
I think I would choose to go on holidays with Lewis because I think you would have a very elegant, fun, interesting trip with him. Kind of holidays that I would like to have but cannot afford to have. Yeah, and I think he's also a very interesting person. He gives across as like very closed, in a way in his interviews. But I'd say when you're like really good friends with him, I'd say he's a lot of fun. He seems like a very kind and generous guy. I just think he seems very interesting, and I'd love to go in holidays with him, like pick his brain, of all the things that he's up to and thinking about and wants to do in life.
Find out the inside secrets to, Kim Kardashian and her family as well.
I think he's going to break her heart.
Oh, you do?
I think he's going to break her heart. Yeah.
I don't know if he'll break hers or she'll break his, but I did see somebody said it was they thought, they didn't buy it. And they said, I just don't buy this romance. I feel like it's just a mutually beneficial agreement to raise Lewis's profile in America, with the biggest star in the universe. But for Kim,
it's more credibility. More and more credibility.
Yeah. It's interesting.
Yeah, it is interesting. It is interesting. A lot of people are slating him for dating her, which I really think is unfair because I think you don't have to love Kim Kardashian, you don't even have to like her, but you should respect her because she is an amazing businesswoman. She's an amazing businesswoman. And I think there's a lot of kind of jealousy around the Kardashians and in particular her. And they can't see how these women have created this world for themselves. I was watching something and they were asking her why they thought Kim Kardashian and the Kardashians were so successful. And she was like, because they have managed to get people to pay attention to them. The way she phrased it, you can dismiss that, but really it is actually quite impressive in this day and age when you've got so many things going on in the world. And it is true, and the Kardashians, like they're on their 10th season of a second reality TV series, you know what I mean? And people are still tuning in. And then they've got all these businesses, they've had so much success. And obviously they've had a hand up and they've had certain things that, given to them, but they have also worked their behinds off to create the world. And I think Lewis would respect that with her, that she's somebody who's, gone out there and she doesn't give a toot and she just does what she wants and she's been really successful at it. Whether they're really involved, I don't know. They seem very reserved around each other. They don't seem like a couple that are, in love or not even in love, but even in, enamor with each other, you know what I mean? They seem very, but again, what do we know when they've got cameras on them?
Exactly. I did see one photo but you don't know what's real and what's not real in this AI day and age that we live in. But I did see a photo of Lewis and Kim having a little kiss at the Super Bowl, but whether that's real or not, I don't know.
Okay.
I think both of them would be standoffish because they've just both of them have had their fair share of media scrutiny over the years, and Lewis has been really so private about his private life. He doesn't talk about it. He's not in public very much with any of his partners. The only way you have an inkling that maybe he's seeing somebody is because there might be a cutaway during an F1 race to a woman in the garage on Lewis's side. And you think, oh, why is she there? It's sometimes not confirmed or not denied. So it's really, we don't really know. But this one just feels really different. Like, they have made public appearances together. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. Be interesting to see how much airtime Kim Kardashian gets when the races start, if she's there in the Ferrari garage.
Yeah, that is interesting. There was a lot of critique of the women last year where they were like, oh, there was too much cutting away to the girlfriends and stuff like that. And like, I know, I suppose as a woman, I'm kind of like, seeing as it's such a male-dominated sport, I'm like, a bit of diversity is always good. But
I like seeing the girlfriends and the wives, but not at the expense of seeing the action on the track. Like, I think
exactly.
I think the broadcasters can do a better job of showing the women behind the men in Formula One at the start of the race, like in the packages before the race starts. Maybe a little bit of cutaway when there's not a lot of action. But yeah, last year the criticism came because they kept showing the wives and girlfriends in the garage and we missed critical overtakes during races.
Yeah, 100% agree. 100% agree. Yeah. So yeah, I just hope that if she does come to the track, it doesn't kind of take the focus away, which I'm sure she would be aware of in both a positive and negative way for her, so. But anyway, we'll see. Lots to get excited about for this 2026 season.
Oh, there's so much to be excited about, and we will dive into a lot of that next week. But for now, Ciara Gillan from Formula Live Pulse and filmmaker and producer extraordinaire, thank you very much for coming on the podcast and answering all my pesky questions. Guys, if you've liked what you've listened to, please rate and review the podcast. Please connect with us on socials. We're everywhere. We're on LinkedIn, TikTok, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram. And you can drop us a line at a brand new email address, hello@awaywegopodcast.com. There is a new website that I've been busy building in the off-season. Also new on the website is the Melbourne guide. So I've put together a 24-page guide to Melbourne. So if you're heading to Melbourne, you can download that for free. It's got a lot of nuts and bolts information in there, like how to get from the airport, how to get to the track, how to use a public transport, as well as a bunch of great restaurants that you want to book now, so you can get a table if you're there for Melbourne. So you can find that on the website. Also on the website, which is awaywegopodcast.com, I've built a Formula One prediction tracker that you can play for free. It's very simple. It's just 1, 2, 3 on the podium for every race and every sprint race. And if you get those correct, you'll get points, the same points that Formula One drivers get for 1, 2, 3. And there'll be a leaderboard. So yeah, sign up and get ready to get your predictions in. And that's it for this week. Thanks for having us in your ears. Until next week and until lights out.
Are you ready?
And it's lights out and away we go.
Away We Go podcast is produced by Diane Bortoletto.
Free audio post-production by alphonic.com.